Hey, fellas.
How's it going?
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome back. We are on our 7th of 8 Beatitudes. And we had a great revelation last week. Beatitudes for business. What a great concept.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. We're going to make that happen. Our 8th Beatitude. So if you haven't listened to the first 6 episodes in this series, we would encourage you, check them all out. You don't have to listen to them in order. Any of these are certainly applicable. However, there is a method to that ordering of. And so the first one definitely is lays the foundation, and then so on and so forth. And today we're going to talk about peacemaking. And the Beatitude is real simple. It is just, blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. Do you, when you hear the word peacemaking, it's an interesting term because most people, not everybody, most people want to live in peace. Would you agree? I mean, most people want to just have a peaceful life.
The majority of the population.
Majority of the population. In fact, say for example, somebody moves in next door to you, all right? And your new neighbor, I'm just going to go there, all right? Because I just so happen to be of this background, all right?
You were the neighbor, though. It was you.
It was you. So your new neighbor maybe isn't of a different cultural heritage, right? And kind of looks a little like Osama bin Laden.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was going there. You didn't know I was going there, maybe. And you're like, oh, interesting neighbors, right? And, of course, we know. I'll just call it out because, my parents are immigrant Palestinians. The first thing many people want to make sure of is that this episode's already starting out silly. Is that your neighbor, I'll just say it, isn't a terrorist. Come on.
You're the only one that can say that.
I'm the only one that can say that,
Right.
but if you're listening, you thought it, and I know my two very astute, intelligent, amazing co-hosts.
Stacks of fertilizer in the garage.
And they move in with a white van, right? I'm just going to go there.
Is it a Penske van?
And it's a Penske van. And they take flying lessons. Okay. All right. Just go all out, all right? Well, I say that to say, when people talk about that, people talk about like radical, Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm a Christian, but that's okay. It's people say, what's up with that? So, you know what? I know a lot of people who are Muslim, obviously. Most of them just want to live in peace.
Mm-hmm.
The overwhelming majority of them. Most of everybody wants to just live in peace. And it's this universal desire. In fact, the Jews and the Arabs have the same, very similar term when they greet you. What do the Jews say? Shalom, right? The Arabs say salam. It means peace be with you. Peace be upon you, right? It's like literally, it's like the universal greeting because it means something very important to every human being because that's like an end game in any day, in any household, in any business, right?
1,000%.
Because we live in a lot of conflict.
My sense of humor side and my PC side,
They're
just
conflicting right
fighting
now.
it out
You're
right
really
now.
struggling right now
I am
internally. aren't
having
you?
trouble.
Right. Be holy. You got the shirt on.
That's a shirt.
Yeah.
You do have the shirt on. He's wearing the merch. Interestingly, I'm going to expand it just a bit for you. Blessed are the peacemakers. The word in the Greek for peacemakers does not mean peace lovers or peacekeepers. It's important. It means those who actively create peace where peace does not yet exist. Like that's the next level. That's a massive distinction there. Because you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to make peace. Like, hey, you know what? If there's an issue you're facing, I just ask you guys. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you say, oh, that person's a peacemaker?
I think if you're a true peacemaker, right? Like, I think it's kind of an oxymoron of what you think it is, right? Because you think peace is I don't want to say weak, right? But like quiet, sublime, right? Like all the things that you think about, right?
Or certain stereotypes of people like the
a hippie,
the
you know what I
the
mean?
monk,
A hippie, like, yeah,
right?
just like, but like if you're a peacemaker, that means that you have the ability to be violent to create peace, right? Like you can't, there's a saying, right? Like if you're, there's a difference between being a weak man or being a strong man who shows weakness, right? Like there's a difference. You have the ability to be dangerous or you don't, right? And I think if you're a peacemaker, that means that you step into conflict to disarm it, but you have to be able to handle conflict, right? Like you have to be comfortable going in and getting some shots, right, taken if you're going to step in and create that peace. So I think that's a very active type of life compared to
Colt named its pistol the Peacemaker.
there you go, right? Like
That's immediately what I thought of when you said you got to step into.
Yeah. So I think that person is somebody who, I think that's a unique individual, because most people, if you see two people arguing, not my business, right? I'm gonna walk on by, but the person that steps in and tries to, just to solve that conflict, like that takes a lot of inner strength, to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick one of them, knock one of them out.
Just pick one. Right.
Argument's over.
Right.
Peace made.
Peace.
Boom.
Peace made.
I mean, you
Just
could
so
actually
weird
actually
today,
have
right?
that like engraved and on each set of your knuckles, right? Peace made. That'd be pretty raw.
That's funny.
But you're right, Joe. It's the Colt pistol is called a Peacemaker. That's interesting. I like that because a lot of people don't think of it like that, right? They just think that you're just a person who is passive, peace avoidance, or I should say conflict avoidance.
Yeah.
But that's not always the pathway to peace. Obviously, because Jesus was constantly in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, constantly.
Look for it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, he didn't like show up places and be like, well, I'm just going to be really nice. I'm not going to ruffle any feathers with these Pharisees. Cause
I think that's been one of the largest kind of things that I've learned from this series, right? Is I don't know why everybody has always made Jesus out to be this very passive individual.
Like a hippie.
Like a hippie.
Because he looked like one.
But,
I
mean,
definitely was
that's
not one.
literally in my mind, right? Like before we started this, and like, maybe. But like, it's like, oh, like, hey man, it's all good. Like the hippie, he was radical. I mean, he stepped into it. I mean, he went places where he was not wanted to do his thing. You know what I mean?
to the point where like he was about to be murdered on the spot,
Right.
time and time and time again. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Like, just put
But
that
he was
into
always like,
perspective.
not this time.
Right. It's coming, but not
yet.
this time. Right. Right. Yeah, I
You
mean,
gotta
and even
really
having,
upset people.
and having your crew, right, your
Yeah.
boys, right,
Yeah.
like be like, man, don't do it again.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like, we don't need to
yeah,
go there.
yeah.
Like, come on, man.
I mean, when was the last time you said anything in front of a group of people when they were like, kill him? You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen.
Pick up
right?
anything.
Right.
What do you got?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
That's cool.
It's something you don't think about, but it's true because peacemakers are not. It's not weakness, right?
It's extreme strength.
Extreme strength. And like you said, this whole series is reminding us of all the strength involved and required to fill this call, like to do this kind of stuff, right? It doesn't mean like, oh, no, there's time for quietness and all that and reflection, but this is like action.
Mm-hmm.
This is movement. This is activity. This is saying you cannot create peace externally if you refuse to submit to peace internally in the sense, bless you, is, where you can't avoid the conversation God is asking you to lead in your own heart, so that you can have the real conversations with everyone around you.
Look, I think that part right there sums up a huge part for me, right? Because I think that if everybody's honest, right, the biggest battle that people face day to day is internally in their own head, right? And to have God telling you, right, like, be a peacemaker internally, I mean, that's something that you could sit and meditate on for, years, really, right? Because I know for me, the largest battle I face every day is just convincing myself that I'm not who I think I am, right? Like, that's the thing, that's the battle, right? And everything kind of spurs out from that, right? How I treat my family, how I treat my friends, how I treat everybody else is based upon what version of myself I'm believing I am today, and so that's a huge challenge, right? Create peace inside yourself.
Truly. Joe, I want to ask you about this part, because I know you're also a fellow martial arts aficionado, and you're an enthusiast, not only from the perspective of you participated in martial arts for many years, and of course you know all the major characters. And you remember the Bruce Lee tribute movie? And was it his son who played that, Brandon Lee? I can't remember his son. Maybe not. Maybe
I don't
not.
think so.
Maybe not. Yeah.
I
Because
know what you're talking about,
Brandon
though.
Lee played in. Well, he was in The Crow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then tragically he died. Well, the gentleman who played him, I love that movie. One particular scene. Do you remember where he had to battle that internal block that he had, and he had to fight the whatever? I can't remember exactly what it was. You remember he had to fight some kind of an adversary in his thoughts, in his heart, mind, right? And and that that is a bit of a picture of this, like, what's inside that I need to get my peacemakers out, right? And defeat that enemy inside that is keeping me from being at peace with God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a battle.
Yeah, I mean, a huge portion of learning martial arts is really the internal struggle. Like, most people approach it thinking, I'm going to learn how to fight and defend myself. But like, the real fight isn't taking place on the dojo floor. It's taking place like inside of you, like who you are, and you're trying to like purify your spirit, so to speak, and it comes way later, because for the first few years you're just trying to get it right, you know what I mean? And then it becomes more of a spiritual kind of road as you really start to learn like what the lessons are teaching you. So it's like a religious experience in a way.
Well, it's interesting because our last episode, we're blessed are the pure in heart. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like Jesus is like, hey, if you just follow the steps.
It's a step-by-step program. Like, this is 8 steps. Like, this is the 8-step program.
Eight
right?
of the biggest, tallest steps.
I mean, but
like pyramid.
Yeah,
steps,
yeah. But I've been reading a lot about neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to create new pathways, right, and to continue to grow. And science is catching up. It's at one time they thought our brain stopped developing in our teens, and now they realize like your brain is constantly developing. And the one cool thing about neuroplasticity is that if you have positive thoughts, your brain starts to look for positive things in the world, right? To basically prove to yourself that you're right? Because your brain always wants to be right, So, and inversely, if you are constantly having negative thoughts, your brain starts to look for negative things to give that reinforcement that it is right on the negative side. Correct? And so 2,000 years ago, you got Jesus talking about, right, like the internal battle that you have in being at peace. And a lot of that, there's science that backs that up, that if you are peace on the inside, right, your brain will start to look for peaceful things outside to give you that confirmation bias that it is peaceful. And so the battle does truly start in your own head. And you can't be a peacemaker if you're not at peace internally.
100%. Hey, friend, it's your friend, Dr. Nate Sala, and I want to personally invite you to something that's been on my heart for a long time. On October 3rd in St. Louis, we're gathering a room full of faith-driven leaders, entrepreneurs, professionals, lifelong learners at our inaugural G3 Summit. It's not just another business event. It's a sacred space where we lay down the pressure, the performance, the pursuit of empty success. We step into a calling that's aligned with God's best for us. I believe you were created to lead with purpose, to give from overflow. Go love radically in your home, your business, and your community. That's what G3 is all about. Grow purposefully, give generously, go love radically. If you've been longing for deeper meaning in your leadership, if you're ready to consecrate your influence to something eternal, then this summit was designed just for you. You can visit us at mygg3summit.com. Reserve your spot today, and I cannot wait to see you there. And I wonder, as we unfold this, understanding the variances in our own spirit, in our own soul. Like, okay, well, maybe we've been a peacekeeper in our own spirit. Well, a peacekeeper avoids tension, right? Naturally, right? That's just the nature of it, right? Right? A peacemaker redeems the tension. There's a clear distinction even in our own dichotomy of language, right? How we describe these terms and how we live them out, and walking in that and from a daily perspective and saying, okay, am I being a peacekeeper or am I being a peacemaker? And why would we want to be a peacekeeper?
Because it's easy.
It's easy.
It's the path of least resistance.
We always apply this to business. So I was thinking, if you're a manager of any kind of business, and you're a peacemaker, like you're really doing your job, because maybe you have to step in and cut out the pot stirrer, maybe the one that spreads gossip, and you have to step in and do that. If you're a peacekeeper, you're trying to just satiate everybody, and you're not honest to any one person really, because you're like, oh, I understand he treats you bad. And then when you talk to him, oh, I understand she treats you bad. Like peacekeeping isn't always the honest approach. And it's definitely not a way to solve a problem. I mean, I have purposely picked fights in boardrooms just to get to the peacemaking part of it. Like, let's just get it out in the open. Let's have it out. And, I'll say something provocative or something just to provoke people into kind of arguing. And it solves the problem. They may think, oh, you're negative to do that. But it really takes intelligence and strength to do that. Like, we could have a nice, calm meeting here. We all kumbaya, and we don't get any further on what we're trying to accomplish. Or we can kind of have it out. We can kind of battle it out here. And then when we get to the peacemaking part, most likely we have a solution.
And you know what we call those conversations in my organization is a come to Jesus meeting.
How appropriate.
How appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think we tend to avoid them. The cost. Like, we see cost. And so avoiding peacemaking and just being peacekeeping doesn't count. It counts the immediate savings, but not the long-term cost.
Correct.
Right.
Short-term gain, long-term loss. Yeah. Yeah.
In any relationship,
Any relationship.
business, family, friendships, anything. And it takes a lot of courage. It really does. To be a peacemaker, not just a peacekeeper.
Well, I also think because most people, unless it was the three of us having that conversation where now we have this kind of idea set out, right? Most people are going to be uber defensive if you try to become a peacemaker, right? Because you're going to say some things that are going to ruffle their feathers, and they're going to be defensive, and they're going to think that you're attacking them. So I think, right, like setting the stage for having these conversations, right? Like I'm thinking from an application standpoint, right? Like you're at work and you need to have one of these conversations. I think it's very important to set that stage, right? Like to explain, this is where I'm coming from. This is what my intentions are. This is what I'm looking to have happen. Not attack you, but we need to have this conversation to come through, right? And I don't know if I've ever sat down with, I've done it a lot at work, but I don't know if I've ever sat down with a family member or a friend and set the stage for the conversation, right? It's to be like, hey, bro, listen, me and you about ready to have a tough conversation, right? Like I've never said that to a friend of mine before if it wasn't in a work setting where that friend happened to be a colleague or something, you know? But I think I think you have to do that.
And it also takes admitting when you've been wrong too, because it's easy to sit down when you've, been hurt by someone else and say, hey, we're going to have a tough conversation. This is how you hurt me. This is what you did.
Right.
But when it's mutual and you've both had a hand in disrupting the relationship, to sit down and say, hey, let's have a tough conversation. And I'm going to admit to the things I did to mess this up.
Yeah.
Right. It's tough.
Indeed, yeah. It's necessary, though, because what happens, we will tend to avoid the peacemaking it's interesting because you want to keep peace, but it's really a temporary, and it's founded on a lack of a solid footing, right? I mean, it's shifting sand.
Yeah.
It's inevitable at some point. There's not going to be peace. We're going to have to resolve this issue.
Yeah.
Or live in misery.
Yeah. Because it lives under the surface.
Right.
No matter what
How
it
much-
looks like.
How much peacekeeping you're doing. And actually, honestly, peacekeeping takes more work in the long run.
In the long run, yeah.
Because it's a constant. It's like being a gardener, right? Like, and you've got weeds, and instead of getting the root, you just keep clipping the weed at the surface, right? Every few weeks, you're gonna have to go back and do that, or you can take the time and go to the root of the issue,
Right.
figure it out, and move on. So it's just, where do you want to spend your time and your energy? Do you want to do it up front where you've got long-term payoff, or do you want it to be a constant nagging issue that is going to come back up? I was having this conversation with a friend of mine this morning. She has an employee who is constantly doing something, right? Like it's always something, right? And I told her, I was just real honest with her. I said, listen, I said, here's your dilemma. I was like, your dilemma is you have more than enough, right, ammo, documentation to terminate this employee. And she said, yeah, I get it, but I don't like to give up on people. And I was like, fair enough, right? Like, I'm not saying give up on people. However, you have to make the determination, right? Like, history has shown that this person is going to continue to do things. It's going to happen, right? Are you willing to take the ownership of the things that are going to happen in the future? Because it could escalate. It could be something major, right? And this is in a client-facing organization, right, where this person is touching clients every single day. And she was like, I never thought about it like that I'm literally taking ownership because I don't want to do the thing that I know I need to do, right? Yeah. And we have that scenario in the retail world all the time, right? You have individuals that do just enough to get by, but they create, we call it a cancer, right? Because they create all these secondary and third level issues that happen, whether it's being late or whether it's just bad attitude. And at some point, right, you have to make the determination in any of these types of scenarios, right? When do I own this as the manager or as the leader or as the friend or as the parent or as, the husband or whatever it is? I own this issue because I just refuse to do what I know I need to do.
Yeah. The rest of it is really powerful. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. Now,
I like that.
it's a reflection because we resemble the Father. Of course, in daughters, right? We resemble the Father because the thing about God is God does not avoid brokenness. And that's really what a lack of peace or the tension that you're trying to keep peace. There's brokenness there. And like you said, you're constantly trying to piece it together like super glue and and it's never sticking for long enough for you to actually even get rest yourself. God enters that and he restores it. There's a difference between repair and restoration, right? Restoration makes it new. Mm-hmm. The relationship becomes new. And sometimes that means you entering the situation, whether it be in business or family. Sometimes it means you exiting for long enough for whatever needs to happen to happen. You tracking me?
Yep, I feel that one.
I think you hit it.
I hit it.
I think you hit a nerve.
I hit it. I'm sure someone listening. I mean, in my own life, right? And I'm thinking of situations in my own life that are personal. That's like sometimes peacemaking means holstering for the moment.
Sometimes,
yeah,
you do the best that you can,
yeah.
right? But if that other person doesn't want peace, you have to go make your own peace, and sometimes that means you have to walk away from that relationship, and that is okay.
And that's the only way you can achieve internal peace. Sometimes
That's it.
Cut the.
And when we look at this,
there.
it starts internally.
Yeah.
God is telling us that you will never have external peace until you have internal peace. So it's not selfish to look at it and say, I need to remove myself from this situation for my internal peace. God is telling you to do that.
It's specific.
Specifically telling you to do that. So you have, like, there are times in my life where I have to walk away from a situation, no matter how hard it is, because I am not. And you have to be honest with yourself if you've really given it your all.
That's right.
Like, you have to have that hard conversation with yourself.
Which goes back to the last Beatitude, pure in heart.
Pure in heart.
Right?
Right.
Just take it one step back.
Take it one step back. Mm-hmm. Have I done everything that I can do? And if you have done everything that you can do and you still are in this conflict, brother, sister,
be at peace.
Be at peace.
By fostering your own internal peace. Walking away sometimes,
Walk
right?
away.
Be at peace.
Walk away.
And like you said, know that it's okay.
It's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're walking away forever.
Right.
But sometimes your presence is creating this conflict, and your absence will give air and room for that conflict to start to reside.
Someone needs to hear this right now. Someone
Absolutely.
listening, hear us.
It's okay. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what I mean? People think like it's not okay. I'm being selfish.
Guilt,
it's
shame.
It's my family. It's my kids. It's my parents. It's whatever it is. Listen, there's nothing more important
That's right.
per God here.
Yes.
To be a child of God, a son of God, you must have peace, and that peace starts internally. So do what you need to do to have internal peace. And then God, I'm sure, will show you a way to help figure out that scenario.
You know, I think about so many people who live in an abusive situation, with family member, or even just like an abusive boss or somebody who, doesn't always have to be physical. But, the mental health that we talk about all the time, if you know anyone who suffers from mental health issues, they are not at peace. Right? They're constantly plagued by the things that are bothering them, the anxiety that goes with it. So if it's situational, sometimes it's chemical, it's physical. If it's situational, and I know this sounds much easier than it is to do, but to remove yourself from that situation, accept help, outside help, and because you deserve peace. You know what I mean? Because people who are abused often think they're not worth, the same as anyone else. But in God's eyes, we're all equally worth our ability to maintain peace within ourselves and in our surroundings. So, yeah, sometimes walking away isn't peacekeeping, it's peacemaking, because you have to avoid this harmful thing,
100%. And that's the distinction. I mean, that's such an important distinction we're making through this episode. And it's so clear. Like, it's so clear that those are the two choices, right? And sometimes peacekeeping will tear you apart. It will tear the fabric of your life. And it's just too much work for me. Because mostly I don't care what your opinion of me is. So to try and just keep this kind of fake peace, it's just not me. But I can see like other people probably struggle with this because they worry about the repercussions of, okay, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to say to other people? And what are other people going to think about me? Because some people are very concerned with what others think about them.
I'm thinking about people who are in, bad marriages, right? And they have kids, and a lot of people stay together for the kids. But I think one of the best things that you can teach your kid is to choose internal peace. I think that's a skill set, because your children are watching you, and they're watching you be a peacekeeper, and then they're going to grow up thinking that that's what they should be as well, right?
I learned it by watching you,
I learned it by
Dad.
watching you, Dad. I learned it by watching you, Mom. And I think that a lot of times we make these excuses for ourselves because we say we're going to do this for our kids, right? We want our kids to have this, we want our kids to have that. But there's very few things more powerful than showing your child how you are going to be a peacemaker, so that they know that that's what's expected for their lives as well.
Amen. That's it. And peacemaking is not weakness. It is spirit-led power under God's control, which is very similar to what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the meek. And when we approach that, we are approaching it from the perspective of, God, you're calling me to initiate peace even when it costs comfort. And that initiation, as you said, could be simply losing the comfort of peacemaking in the moment for the joy of being called a son of God forever. It's a good stopping point. Hey, next week,
Last one.
last one of the series, we're going to bring it strong.
Let's do it.
Hey, if you're listening, tune in. We'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We did it again. Thank you so much for being a part of our program. We thank you, and we couldn't do it without you. If you've been blessed by this show, we would just ask that you give us an unfiltered review and share with the world how God is speaking to you through a call to leadership. You can do it on Apple or any of the podcast platforms, a call to leadership. And we thank you again. God bless you.